Do some of your coworkers secretly hate you? It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I know it's not a fun start to the show, but I think you've got to be concerned about such things. You know, the polarization, politically speaking, has reached such a fever pitch in the media. You know, it's having massive effects on people who are mentally unwell. You know, the guy that went out and shot Charlie Kirk, the guy that tried to shoot President Trump at the White House Correspondents' Center, these guys that are shooting up the ICE facilities in Alvarado and Dallas and all the crazy stuff you're seeing going on there. But there's a lot of other lower grade effects that are happening to people that might be sitting next to you right now. They might be sitting next to you at work. Thank God they can't hear your earbuds and find out who you really are, because your coworker might secretly hate you. This viral video, I don't know, I didn't lose sleep over this, but I really thought about this a lot last night. I want to start with asking you about it. This woman looks like she's maybe mid-20s, maybe early 30s at the oldest, but looks normal.
Found out today that somebody that I work with is a conservative, and he's somebody who's really intelligent, and he's somebody who works in climate tech as a super smart guy, somebody I would never have thought was conservative, and apparently he is. And it's surprising and it's disgusting. But what's most surprising to me is the level of sudden hatred that I have for him. Sudden hatred for this man who I used to respect suddenly just went boop, and I hate him now.
All right, so definitely politics is making the workplace a little more volatile than it otherwise would need to be. Do you have to work with someone like this? And yeah, go ahead, wave your hands at me, everybody. Yeah, everyone I can see through glass right now is agreeing with me right now. It sucks, doesn't it? You know, that we talk about who has privilege and who has special rights and who's oppressing who. How come I'm always on the dirty end of that stick? In my life, I have never gone to HR and told them I'm offended about anything anyone has ever said. You think I've never been to an HR meeting before? You think I've never had emails? You think I've never been suspended without pay? You think I've never been canceled or kicked off or lost a sponsor or had my sponsors protested or things like that? The person I'm concerned about is, what if you're that guy? What if you think you have a great relationship with all your coworkers? Politics never comes up. No one has to worry about it. It's not a big thing, but they find out who you are and what you believe. And now you got to worry about you. Do you work with someone like that? Because she's not obviously a political activist, or she doesn't look like she's that polarized. She doesn't have rainbow bright hair. She doesn't have the septum ring. She's not, visibly repulsive. She's kind of cute little girl. And I worry about that all the time. This is something that I know you don't like, have an overtly polarizing job. I do. And I have to think about that. Like if I'm in a sales meeting, how do I know this person that's supposed to be, I'm supposed to be working with? What if they're one of these people that just hate conservatives and have been so ingrained in hating anything that is team red? Does that affect my money? What if the person we're selling to is like that? Because you're not going to be shocked to hear this, but there are some people who would never spend their advertising dollars on such a hateful station as WBAP. They're wrong to do so. But I wonder how many people out there who, if you think that you're in a politically neutral job, maybe you should be walking around on eggshells. There's a lot of assumptions that come along with this. With the assumption being, if all of this oppression is going one way, if you are the person that is getting somebody fired, you are the oppressor. Do you understand that? If you are the person that is able to control or silence the speech of someone else based on your clout in society or politics or corporations or whatever, you're not the good guy anymore. And so there's another viral video that I wanted to counterbalance this, sort of the yin to the yang there. And you got to go back and find that there's a girl, Flourish with Lauren is her channel. These aren't big, important people here. But she's kind of making the opposite case. As a woman, looking at it from a man's point of view, it seems like they are the privileged ones.
Are women more privileged than men? Yes, they are, and it's not even close. Women are loved just for existing. They get attention, compliments, protection, free drinks, doors opened for them, etc. And a man, he's invisible until he proves that he can provide, protect, perform, pay, or add value. In other words, earn your spot or disappear. Guess what? A woman can also decide if you become a dad or not. You get zero say. She's pregnant, her body, her choice, my dudes. End of story. She can also falsely accuse you with zero consequences. She can claim assault, abuse, rape online to the police and in court. And if it's proven a total lie, she gets a little slap on the wrist. But you lose your job, your reputation, your sanity, and you can spend years in prison even if you're innocent. Draft registration, men only. Most workplace deaths, men. Most homeless, men. Suicide rate 4 times higher, men. The double standards never end. The bottom line is women get safety nets, sympathy, legal advantages, social worship, and endless help. Men don't. That is just the truth. Pretending that we're both equal is gaslighting half of the population. So wake up.
So I think maybe 20-30% of my coworkers hate me, or at least have the political polarization working against me. I don't want to say they hate me. No one's that childish around here. We're all a bunch of professionals. But what about you? And how do we fix that? 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. I'll start with some baby steps on how to fix this and sort of weave it into some of the other headlines of the day, because this is going to be a recurring theme on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Is politics ruining your workplace? I'm James Parker, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. For some of you, you're just nodding so hard. And for those of you who aren't having politics infiltrate your workplace, be a little grateful that you don't have to go through this. Just thank God that you don't have to do this, that you don't have to wonder if the person that's next to you thinks you're literally Hitler. And for a bunch of us, it's almost not worth putting up with. It almost makes you want to quit. Like, especially, oh man. Okay, imagine having my job, and imagine if my direct boss was a flaming liberal. It's happened. Like, and when I say flaming liberal, volunteered his time and efforts and was on the local board of directors of the ACLU. God knows how he got in charge of a radio talk station. But it was madness. Miss Parker used to hear the worst stories about how this guy was always trying to set me up or get me fired or suspending me and having to go to HR. But I was kind of floored by, this exists, but the lady that said she liked her coworker and then until she found out he's a conservative and now she hates him. Look, let me replay this for the new people and then we'll get to the roots of this.
Found out today that somebody that I work with is a conservative, and he's somebody who's really intelligent, and he's somebody who works in climate tech, is a super smart guy, somebody I would never have thought was conservative, and apparently he is. And it's surprising and it's disgusting. But what's most surprising to me is the level of sudden hatred that I have for him. Sudden hatred for this man who I used to respect suddenly just went boop, and I hate him now.
The fact that she was saying these things like, I didn't think he was a conservative because he was smart and he was a climate tech. And, most engineers are right wing. You understand that. Most people who are in the hard sciences, not the soft sciences, not the humanities, are right wingers. We are the smart ones. We are the analytical ones. We are the ones that do the complex things and build complex machines and go to the moon. But she lost respect for him. You can't respect somebody unless they hold your political beliefs. You know what that is? That is the definition of a bigot. Now, she doesn't actually have material to go on. She didn't say anything he did that makes her hate him. Her hate him. But she just, because she already had this prejudged notion of what it means to be a conservative. I've been seeing this pop up a lot. There is a woman who did an interview recently on a different podcast. Her name's Carolyn Xavier. And when she moved to the South, she thought we were all going to be racist.
I thought when I moved to the South that everybody would be super racist and there'd be like lynchings on Tuesday as a pastime. I had no idea. Like, I thought when you'd pull into town, it'd be like Kiwanis, Ku Klux Klan, Rotary Club. Like, I really thought it was like that lockdown. And then what I actually found in the South was significantly less racism, less prejudice than I had seen growing up in Los Angeles and in Sacramento.
Yeah.
Because there was like so much less of a divide. It was like, no, we're like a community and we all go to the same church and we all go to the same barbershop. And it was just like, it was so counter to what I was taught my whole life.
Isn't that sad? Do you really feel privileged when the entire narrative of the mainstream legacy media outlets, everything from ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC to Netflix and Amazon to Hollywood to popular music to pop culture to celebrities to professors to politicians, the narrative is training people to hate you? And then they turn around and you got to get lectured on your own Super Bowl halftime in some other language. The only thing that trumps hate is love. Well, stop teaching people to hate us. And you can't say you're not teaching them to hate us. I just gave you two examples. So one woman who thought she hated us until she actually knew us. Another woman who, when she finds out that, oh, I work with a conservative, now I hate him. I effing hate him. How long are we going to put up with this? How does this get to be the narrative? How does this get to be the narrative that the mainstream narrative across all of these institutions, these giant corporations, that are all controlled by these other giant corporations with their billions in ad dollars and Pfizer and Ford, and they're all just training people to hate you? I would start there. If you want to know why political polarization has gotten out of control, you want to know why Charlie Kirk got shot, you want to know why there's been 3 attempts on Donald Trump's life, you want to know why people are shooting up ICE facilities and firebombing Tesla dealerships, we start with confronting that narrative first. And it's crazy because right now in America, not only is it not bad for women or for gays or for minorities, it's better than it's been anywhere on the planet at any time in human history. And, you know, at a bare minimum, I would ask you to stop training people to hate me. But I think step 2, a little gratitude would be nice. This is Stephen A. Smith with Ben Shapiro.
America is not what it used to be. Wouldn't you concede that?
No.
That you wouldn't concede that
No,
it's
I
not
think
what
America
it used to be?
No, I think that America is in many ways better than it ever was. I mean, I think that.
Why?
Name a time in American history that was better for, say, Black Americans.
I can't. I'm not going to deny that. I don't think it's great right now.
This is sort of the problem that I have is people kind of look back to a storied past and they tell themselves a story about it. On the right, they tend to say things like, well, if it were only like the 1950s, and if only we had the manufacturing jobs we had in the 1950s. Really? I don't think you'd want to sit in like a Ford factory in a rivet 8 hours a day. Like you sit in an air-conditioned office and your main physical threat is sciatica. There tends to be a belief that your parents had it better than you did. No, your parents lived in an era where you had to go to a payphone to call your family and spend $1 a minute to do so. And now you have a magical machine in your pocket that gets you any piece of information you could ever want instantaneously. And you can order any product for cheaper than anybody in human history, and it will be at your door inside of 2 days. That's not to say there aren't problems. There for sure are problems, but I think gratitude is a good thing, is what I'll say about this.
I'm going to be doing a lot more of these topics as we ramp up to America's 250th birthday party. That's going to be a recurring theme. No, this country isn't terrible. This is the greatest country that has ever existed, you bunch of ungrateful ninnies. And I'm not talking about you. I know you don't go out there and burn the flag or think we stink or block highways with your foam core protest signs. But fixing this, you know, well, we counter the narrative. How do we do that? Man, number one, support the media that is actually not doing that narrative. You know, actually listen to WBAP when we tell you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. Go follow us on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. Everything you hear on the commercials, just buy it. If you have business advertise with us, that'd be great. First thing you can do is support the people. Because look, if we get canceled, if we one day go away, a bunch of y'all are going to be like, I wonder what happened. I'll tell you what didn't happen. We didn't get enough support one day. Profits were not bigger than our costs. But most of you aren't in a position to advertise. So really, we just ask for patronage for the people that do advertise with us. And then I think step 2, you know, besides supporting, you know, like go get a subscription to The Blaze. Go get a subscription to some of these other streaming services that are like the Caviezel one. They set up a Christian streaming service. Go get that. But I think step 2 would be getting rid of public schools and just decoupling government from education. Because higher education is so far gone. But, you know, if you're worried about capitalism versus socialism, have you thought about how many state institutions are controlling the education system? You know, there's like Texas State University, there's Louisiana State University, there's Oklahoma State University, Kansas State University. They're all state schools. So we have this weird mishmash where we've somehow combined our minor league football, our minor league football with state indoctrination centers with air quotes universities. But yeah, public schools, getting rid of that would be a good start. AOC thinks the American Revolution was against billionaires.
The American Revolution was against the billionaires of their time. And we are declaring independence from such an extreme marriage of wealth and power and the state.
Yeah, all the richest men in America actually signed the Declaration of Independence. I mean, the richest guy when it was signed was John Hancock. You're not going to believe that. Were they fighting against the billionaires, millionaires, and billionaires, or were the millionaires and billionaires fighting against the government? And so many of our problems would be solved if we would just listen to those guys and reduce government back to the size that they intended. We weren't supposed to be in the charity business. We weren't supposed to be in the education business. We weren't supposed to be in the healthcare business or housing and urban development business. We're not supposed to be in most of those businesses. Maybe we should listen to them because they knew more than AOC did, that's for sure. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Coming up next, Donald Trump's heading off to China. I'm not sure we're going to get a whole lot of good out of it. I'll explain on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Don't expect a whole lot to come out of this trip to China. I'm James Parker, Newstalk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. But if you're just joining us, we're kind of rolling on this political polarization thing that starts with the workplace. But when you zoom in on the origin of where this terrible narrative comes from, where it seems like people are being conditioned to hate you for your political beliefs, a lot of that starts with the way that you're being presented in media. But I think the genesis of most of it comes from our education system being so intertwined with big government. And you're gonna see this sort of echo its way out, this political polarization in the coverage of the trip that Donald Trump's making to China. I'll get to that right after we talk to Randy in Plano. You're on Newstalk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
Hey, so unchecked indoctrination ends up metastasizing into the worst type of cancer against civil discourse. Whenever you're shown and indoctrinated from elementary education to, middle education to college education in media and then social media, because of your algorithm, you're put in an echo chamber that puts everybody else in an others category, therefore locking you into your mindset. And the good thing, or the only good thing that I see coming from this type of behavior and situation that we've seen in the last 40 plus years, is the fact that once a person gets removed from that echo chamber and sees the indoctrination that they've been given their entire life, they become the most ardent people to put and shine a light towards that indoctrination so that others can see it.
Yeah, and I love it when they do that, because they're like the late in life Christians. I was just born a Christian. I got baptized when I was a kiddo. I never knew anything different. But the people that become a Christian when they're like 40, they tend to have their hair on fire at the beginning, and that's always fun to watch. Yeah, I see the political indoctrination comes because rightfully so. You probably feel a little upset about being lied to your entire life, and you are right to be upset. The rest of us are used to being lied to quite a bit. But I mean, Randy, what's your solutions here? I think, people say, well, we got to do something about the media, or we got to do something about XYZ. I think it really starts with the education system and just decoupling the whole thing from government.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And I think that what some of the conservative state governments have done and the governors have done in regards to voucher programs and allowing you to have your children outside of that indoctrination camp is going to, prove very well. But we, as the unindoctrinated, have to show the situation that people are getting put in. And another question I have real quick, whenever you played that audio clip earlier of that lady, did she say Awanas and then the KKK? Because literally, I'm like, no way she said Awanas. Like Awanas, like my kids are in Awanas learning Bible verses automatically makes them a Nazi? Like what? No.
She thought it was just part of the social fabric. There's the Kiwanis, there's the PTA, and there's the KKK. No, she wasn't equating the Kiwanis with it. They, just the service club with the Klan.
Okay, Kiwanis, not Awanas. Like I go to church and then we have the Awanas. They're kind of like Boy Scouts of churches.
I thought she said Kiwanis.
Girls have their own thing.
I thought
maybe she said Kiwanis. I was like, bro, it's like what?
All right,
but all right, thanks.
Good stuff. Thank you. That is Randy in Plano. All right, so Trump is off to China. He made a quick statement before he got on the plane. Sorry about the noise in the background, but just talking with the press, they asked him about his goals. Sounds pretty good.
What is the ultimate goal of your trip to China?
I think more than anything else, because we have massive relationships with China. We're the two superpowers. We're the strongest nation on earth in terms of military. China's considered second. Who knows? Who knows? But we are. There's nobody even to come close. And you see that whether it's Venezuela or whether it's Iran. Iran's military is decimated. I have a great relationship with President Xi, and I think it's going to remain that way. We have a lot of things to discuss. I wouldn't say Iran is one of them, to be honest with you, because we have Iran very much under control. We're either going to make a deal or they're going to be decimated. So one way or the other, we win.
So this trip really is all about Iran, isn't it? He was asked about his goals in a trip to China, and Iran was the topic. We weren't talking about semiconductors. We weren't talking about artificial intelligence. We weren't talking about sharing of tech or healthcare or the Wuhan virus laboratory. How's that thing doing? Did we get a little extra caulking in the window seals or anything like that? No, it's just all 100% Iran. That's what this is about. So coming up next on the James Show, while I was, wagging my finger at the other side of the aisle for not being able to have a rational discussion about someone who disagrees with them, we're going to have a rational discussion about someone who disagrees with you. A guy named Robert Kagan. He's been interviewed on MSNBC and PBS since he wrote this article for The Atlantic called Checkmate in Iran, saying Washington can't reverse or control the consequences of losing this war. And we're going to have a grown-up addressing of the critics of this war without someone being called a terrible name. 800-288-9227. You'll hear from his interview next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. We are answering a critic who says we can't win in Iran. I'm James Parker. It's Newstalk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. And look, a lot of this discussion is going to hinge on your specific definition of losing. Because I think we have a quite gilded definition of what losing a war looks like in 2026 America. Because before I even walk into this mess here, the guy who wrote the article, his name's Robert Kagan. It appears in the Atlantic. He's done a few interviews here, and he's not hysterical. He's not saying racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe. He's trying to be like this cool, calm, calculating, well, I'm just going by the record of history. Well, we just can't control the consequences of losing this war. You know, for me, losing a war means an opposing army at some point either set foot in your country or shot into your country or dropped a bomb on your country or had a negative effect somewhere on your country. If we are going to the other side of the planet and we're just kicking the snot out of these people until we give up and go home and we don't get the uranium, they're going to call it a loss. But that's not a loss. And this is what I find so frustrating. This probably frustrates the snot out of you too, is no matter what happens in a month from now, 3 months from now, a year from now, Trump's going to say the Iran war was a win. It was a great success. I know it. You know it. Everybody knows it. Believe me. All his critics are going to say it was a terrible loss. It was embarrassing failure. It was consequences we'll never recover from. And no matter what, this is what they're going to say for the rest of your life. It's so hard to have an honest conversation here. But I don't even see how anybody can say that we are going to lose this war. Whoa, really? Is Iran storming the Capitol? Did they make an amphibious assault? Did they do a bunch of paratroopers drop into South Carolina? How exactly are we losing this? Did they burn down the White House? That happened in the War of 1812. The Brits came and burned it down. Did you know that? Did you know that they just got done beating Napoleon and then they joined up with some Canadians who weren't even Canadian yet. They just lived up there. They burned down our White House. That's losing a war. So when is the last time America lost a war? Have we ever lost a war? I don't think we lost in Vietnam. I think we just went over there. We wrecked shop. We didn't even unleash what we could have really done. So with one arm tied behind our back, it's not like we lost. It's not like they overtook us or we couldn't defend ourselves or we were helpless in battle or we were outmatched or outclassed or outgunned or out-technologied or any of that. So just the idea that we can lose. All right, with all my setup, now let's get into what he was actually saying. Because this is not a bad interview here he did with PBS. I'm always open to hearing the other side. Robert Kagan. He says there's no way we can get out of this mess with a win.
Well, I just don't see what options Donald Trump has or is willing to undertake in order to open up the strait. And if Iran ends this conflict as it currently is in control of the strait, it really completely changes the situation in the Gulf. It puts Iran in the driver's seat. It gives Iran enormous leverage, not only in dealing with the United States, but in dealing with the rest of the world. If Iran can charge tolls, if Iran determines who gets in and out of the strait and when, that's just enormous power. And in fact, I think it's even more power than they would have if they were able to develop a nuclear weapon. And I don't see what option Trump has to solve this problem because, you know, they bombed Iran very effectively for 37 days. They took out the entire leadership, and yet Iran has never made a concession, and the administration's never been able to do anything to open the strait. So I think the option that would be necessary would be a full-scale invasion of Iran if you really wanted to remove the regime and open the strait. I don't think Donald Trump or the American people want to do that.
You know, I appreciate the sober attempt of a critique here. Now, I'm going to, again, stick with my definition of defeat. There's no way we could lose this war. We can just withdraw from this war without accomplishing all of our objectives. And that's, to me, that's not the same as losing. But he says, I don't see that if there's any other way we can do this. Well, we could just keep shooting at their boats when they block the Straits of Hormuz and eventually they run out of boats. I see a lot of other ways this could go. And I find this to be an interesting intellectual exercise because, remember, I'm an anti-war guy. I don't even have to go into details. Whatever the next war is, just go ahead and assume I'm already against that one too. That being said, I don't think Trump is getting us into some morass that we'll never recover from. And I'm still optimistic that we can get something good out of this. If we get the uranium, that would be amazing. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to accomplish that, but I'm not ready to declare defeat, and I don't feel comfortable saying that we could even possibly lose this war. But here's another one. The second clip here, why he thinks we can't win in Iran. Robert Kagan from The Atlantic.
The United States does not have the capacity without a fundamental change on the ground in Iran, I believe, to open the strait. Iran will be able to fire at it from all kinds of distances. And the United States can't possibly protect every ship in the strait with what it has. So I think it takes much more. I think, by the way, I'm not surprised that Bibi Netanyahu is saying this. I think this war has the potential of ending in a very disastrous way for Israel, precisely because the leverage in the region and the influence in the region is going to shift away from the United States and Israel and toward Iran and its supporters.
See, I hate the fact that they pretend to not know things that they know. I don't see how this could go any other way. I see 10 other ways this could go. You don't even know if the Ayatollah's alive. There was the rumor yesterday that they were trying to work out some sort of exile deal like the Syrian guy got, Bashar al-Assad. When the Syrian civil war collapsed, he's now living in like Moscow and I think he was, right? Because wasn't he like an eye doctor in London before all that went down? So there was the rumor that the current Ayatollah is tore up from the floor up from some strike. And you don't know. Maybe we have already buried the uranium, and not only can the Iranians not get to it, we can't get to it either. Nobody can get to it. Maybe the guy's down there and he's been dead this whole time. There's like 1,000 different scenarios, and for him to pretend like, well, I don't see any other way this can go. It's very disappointing because here's a guy from The Atlantic who's not screaming. He doesn't have his hair on fire. He's not saying racist, bigot, sexist, homophobe. He sounds a lot more reasonable than the guys on CNN or MSNBC. And he's still pretending. He's not even having a real dialogue. I don't know any other way this can go. You don't even know if the dude's alive. You don't even know who we're talking to. You don't even know where the uranium is at, and you're already declaring defeat? When defeat's not even possible? It's so disappointing, the coverage of this war. It's so disappointing how politics has ruined your workplace, how politics has ruined schools, and how politics, we can't even have an honest conversation about war. They're so dedicated into making you hate Trump and making people hate you. They make discourse impossible. We just pretend not to understand things. Isn't that the great new trope? So much of leftist discourse is them pretending not to understand things, making discourse impossible. Happened again. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Coming up next, an amazing new investigation from Sarah Gonzalez just dropped this morning with some more Frisco Indians getting busted. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. More Frisco Indians getting busted. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I know people get excited now. This is a new pastime we have where people walk around with nothing more than a couple of printouts from a government database and a smartphone. And you walk up and you knock on doors and you expose government fraud because it is all around you. It's almost like the Holy Spirit. It is everywhere. It is inside of us. It is between us. It is in every institution. It is in every building. It is in every town. It is in every state. It's just everywhere. Just government fraud. Your tax dollars just being thrown around and set on fire. It's just all around you, from the bike lane to the DART train to the next war, whatever that war is, to, oh, we got to build another dog park. It's all just around you. Government waste is omnipresent. Wait till you hear this one from Sarah Gonzalez, though. She's cracking me up so bad because she had the great busting of the daycare. That was just like, what, 2 weeks ago? And then she was also the one who busted the water park Muslims. So wait till you hear this. You'll hear it right after Miguel in Cleburne. You're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, Miguel.
Hey, good afternoon, James. Great show. I'll be real brief, and then I'll back out so you can respond.
Sure.
Number one is the Democrats' hair is on fire because of the misinformation and not really representing the people and the truth of reality. Now, granted, there's never been a perfect president, but Trump is one in a long time who is actually trying to fight for the American people. And instead of getting behind him and making things work, they're just stabbing him in the back. But they have no answer. Now, I'll leave you with three things. Number one, their big ticket is abortion, immigration, and taxes, okay? But the thing is they offer no solutions for any of that. Real quickly, let me give you something. I know you love history. You go back and look in the early 1900s, there was a slant toward the Asian people and this, that, whatever. However, it was a little cushy for the Mexicans because guess what? They needed laborers in the field. They had the green card program, yada, yada, yada. And I'll leave it like that.
Did you mean to say that there was a slant with the Asian population? Because that didn't sit too right. I'm going to have a HR meeting for that one, probably. No, you're done. You're done. I know no more HR meetings for me today. All right. To our heroine of the day, Sarah Gonzalez, who I invited her to come on the show for the water park Muslims, and I even texted her today. She not getting, well, it just says I got left undelivered. I don't even know if she read it yet. Well, I wish I could have her on because she did a lot of background work to set this up. And let's just start walking through. Cut it up into 5 pieces for you. This whole thing is over 20 minutes long, but it's exactly what you expect. Some guy has a ton of H-1B visas going to a shell company in some empty office building that's being shared by a bunch of other shell corporations. Looks pretty suspicious. Let's go check it out.
Heading to a company that has come up actually multiple times in our H-1B investigations, Great America Technology, which is supposed to be located at 8105 Razor Boulevard, Suite 209. It's all over all of their paperwork, all over their website. That is their location. If that address sounds familiar, it's because, yes, it is the very same address where we found workers in a mailbox. They should have over 15 H-1B workers listed at that work site. There's only one problem. Every time we go, we don't see anyone from Great America Technology. And actually, I also popped in on Suite 209, and I ran into a woman who had no idea who they even were.
All right, so this next part, let me jump over to an interview. I know you don't know Josh Johnson, but he's a real popular comedian. He's really funny. He's super young, and he's left. Not that that's completely germane to what he does. He doesn't do a whole lot of politics, but he was on the Breakfast Club, and he was dismissive of the Nick Shirley expose, like you're hearing Sarah Gonzalez do. And he was saying, well, that's not real journalism. They didn't really do any research. They're just showing up with a camera. And here, let me just play a clip with that, because Sarah Gonzalez is going to address this criticism, like preloaded in her package just for critics like this.
It was still some good investigative journalism, though.
On Nick Shirley's part?
That's the guy that exposed everything in Minnesota, right?
I wouldn't say he exposed everything.
I mean, he did. Didn't he expose the whole Minnesota fraud case? Or am I confusing people?
No. Because I think you might be confusing the fact that in Minnesota, the stuff that he was talking about was already being investigated.
So he just amplified it.
He just amplified it. And he also incorrectly amplified it because then this dude, because he's not a journalist, doesn't know like protocols, doesn't know what to do. So then this dude also just shows up at a daycare and it's like, let me in with a camera. It's like, they were like, no. And they're like, well, you must be doing fraud. It's like, no, you are a grown man with a camera that wants to come in. Yeah.
All right. So that lets you know that they will take anything to just dismiss this. I don't know why they refuse to believe that the government can be getting scammed and defrauded. But just to let you know, Sarah Gonzalez gives you a whole lot of backstory. She does not just find some random dude and go knock on his door. And by the way, that lets me know he didn't watch the Nick Shirley video. There were a few daycares he went to that were legit daycares, and a guy with the camera shows up and they go, yeah, look, here's kids. Yeah, look, here's cars in the parking lot. Yeah, you can hear kids in the background. So that tells me he's dismissive. He didn't even watch the video because Nick Shirley addressed that in that original one he put out the day after Christmas. So here is Sarah Gonzalez. She did this part specifically because she has heard criticism of her previous work and Nick Shirley and whoever else was doing it like this. And this is the sort of to pre-buff the critics.
Here's what happens when you call the phone number that they list themselves on their website.
You have reached a number that is not currently set up to receive calls. Please try again later.
I'm wondering how they do business. How do you conduct business with anyone if you don't even have a working phone number? Let me give you the details on this company. 2017, they formed this company with officers from Andhra Pradesh, India. They moved to Razor Boulevard allegedly in 2019. And in 2024, the previous owners, Lakshmi Bagala and another gentleman, removed themselves as the directors and listed Nagarjuna Reddy Soccer.
Yeah. Anyway, she has all the backstory. She has all the paperwork. She's showing you screenshots of paperwork and whatnot. So this isn't some fly by the seat of your pants, not doing the correct journalistic procedures and policies or whatever. That is all an excuse to not have to actually deal with what he could have seen for his own eyes if you watch the video. Now she actually shows up and starts asking questions. And when it turns into the "what's your problem" part of the conversation, that's almost an admission of guilt, isn't it?
So
you are doing all nonsense, creating nonsense, going to.
I'm creating nonsense?
Yeah.
You think it's nonsense that I'm rooting out fraud and scams?
We are paying legally taxes to the government, and who the are you come to ask all these things?
Who the are you to complain that I'm rooting out scam and fraud?
Yeah. If any problem, USC people, they'll send a notice or they'll send.
Do you think that they can handle the millions of people who have come here? Are you denying that there's fraud happening? We've already uncovered it.
See, the government is there to identify the fraudsters, right?
And guess what? They have a tip line for a reason because they can't find it all.
Oh, that makes me like her so much. Because when the guy goes, "Who the F are you?" She goes, "Who the F are you?" Like, not only not backing down, how about back at you, buddy? I have two more clips because he says, no, you've gone to the wrong address. Here's the new address. She goes to the new address. Find out whether or not it's fake next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, we had some more Frisco Indians busted. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. More great work from our friend Sarah Gonzalez at the Blaze, and you also see her on Texas Scorecard. Sometimes you hear her on the James Show. But it's another one of these door knockers. It's another one of these H-1B Nick Shirley scams where this is a very frustrating gray area because this might be legal by the letter of the law, what they're doing, but by the spirit of the law, you and I both know that the H-1B program wasn't intended for shell companies to have infinity H-1B workers come over here for the most light and transient of causes. I'll play you a couple more clips from her investigation because you already heard her bust the guy, and then he told her about the new address. She's about to go to the new address, and we'll see if there's actually a real working office there. But first, Michael in Capel. You're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, Michael.
Hey, James. So it's not just Frisco and Allen. Sarah should have a look at Capel because in the last half dozen years or so, we've had a very large increase in the Indian population in Capel. And I've always wondered, why is it that all of these people are suddenly flocking to Capel? And this may very, very well be the reason that they're doing it.
Well, you don't have to come up with any exquisite or detailed reasoning why these people are doing it, because living in Capel is better than living anywhere in India.
Oh, yeah. It's better than living in a lot of places else in North Texas.
Yeah.
Where are these people getting all this money to live in Capel? It ain't cheap to live in Capel.
Agreed there. Well, hey, look, why not? You have a phone. I know because you're on it right now. Why don't you go bust some of these people for us and send me the videos?
Because I'm driving around in an 18-wheeler down in Round Rock, Texas, and I don't have time to do it. I work 12 to 14 hours a day.
All right.
Sarah Gonzalez knows what she's doing. She can get it done.
Man, so, she is such a hero for all this, because when the guy's like,
she is. She's great.
Yeah, the guy's like, "What's your effing problem?" She goes, "What's your effing problem?" She doesn't back down. Dude, I love it when she goes down to the immigration protests and she's like, "If you love it so much, go there." You know, when they're waving Mexican flags or whatever they're waving, the Honduran flags. All right, good stuff. Thanks for
the big mistake these people made in these caravans. Remember the caravans that were coming here?
Yeah.
They had all these people waving Mexican flags and South American flags, whatever country. If these people had been smart, they would have all been waving American flags and saying, "Hey, please accept us. Please help us. We really need your help." And people would have been a lot more sympathetic than having an invasion of thousands of people waving flags from all these countries that ain't ours.
Yeah, well, I thought the frustrating part about the caravan story is how fake it was. No, not one person walked here from Guatemala. Nobody believes you. It's all fake. It's all for show. Somebody's supporting it. Somebody's organizing it. There's no way 15,000 people just decided that they're going to walk all the way from Guatemala City to Laredo at the same time without any sort of organization. It's not believable. Where are they going to the bathroom? You can't even do that walk in a month. You would probably die if you walk from El Salvador to Brownsville. It's not even a believable story. And I don't even have to know what the truth is behind it. It's just, can you just not lie to my face that blatantly and expect me to swallow it? Because I'm not your guy. I am not the propaganda swallowing person. All right, so Sarah Gonzalez went to bust a Frisco Indian, another H-1B shell company scam. She goes and confronts him at the address where the office is supposed to be. Of course, there's nobody there, just a mailbox. So she goes to his house. They're not there either. He sends him to another address. Let's see if this is a legit, fully functioning business.
Would you look at that? The location actually is another co-working space.
Oh.
Looks very familiar.
Man.
Suite 201. Here it is. Here's where the magic happens. Where are the public access files? I'm starting to get a sense for why this guy got so defensive and started cursing at me.
Yeah, it's starting to make sense, isn't it? So then she gets back in the car and she calls him back and they have a confrontation on the phone, and here's 25 funny seconds out of it.
You are in violation right now of the Department of Labor requirements.
If I'm doing any violation, why don't you go ahead and file a complaint against me?
Trust me when I tell you I will.
After you left, I called 911. They
Of course you did.
To my home.
Of course you did.
Okay, I'll give you your name, and you are, first of all,
Good.
You are taking video without my consent. I'm going to file a lawsuit against you.
Oh, how can you not love that woman? I don't know if I'd want to be married to her, though. She'd be like, listen, I was tracking you on your phone, and you said you were going to come straight home, and it says here that you stopped off at Whataburger. I have the evidence right here. I printed it out, so you can't go delete the history. It's like, oh, you busted me again. Jerry in Weatherford. You're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP.
Well, it's kind of crazy, I think, this blatantly how openly they're doing this. So I went and did a job in Murphy, Texas 2 days, and it used to be a Denny's. And lo and behold, the people that bought the building are Indian. And for some reason, the first thing they did is on the back of the building, not the front, a big lit up sign that says Child Learning Center. Well, the inside of it looks like a restaurant. So I'm just a little confused in that.
Bust them. Get them, Jerry. You can do it. You can be one of these people. Bust them.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking when I go back tomorrow, because I had to do some inspections for the city, and I was like in Murphy, and I was like, huh.
Yeah, just do the old, hey, I have a child. I'm looking for some daycare. Y'all got any openings?
Yes, sir.
You know it's a scam.
I'll send it to your email once I get to the bottom of it.
Oh, I love that, Jerry.
Put the sign on
I love it.
Put the sign on the back of the building instead of the front. Why do that?
Get them. Let's, dude. Anyone else that has the same inspiration as Jerry and Weatherford, you don't have to call me. Just go do it. Send me the video. We'll have a good laugh. This is one of my new favorite hobbies, busting Frisco Indians. This is just brings me so much joy. It's like a worthy hobby. We're not just going out there and playing pickleball, or we're not like these nerds on the bicycles. Oh man. No, don't get me started on bicycles. Anyway, I got to take a break. That's great, Jerry. Go get him, Jerry. That's Jerry in Weatherford. Be like Jerry. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. And can we get another round of applause for Sarah Gonzalez for putting all this together? This just dropped this morning on her X feed. If you want a link to it, I'll send it to you. And speaking of Frisco Indians, did you see the report about how real estate prices are dropping in Frisco and Plano and Collin County? And isn't this great? Yeah, not necessarily. You'll hear that next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Our Frisco Indians ruining the real estate market in North Texas. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Because we were just regaling, enjoying, laughing our heads off at another Sarah Gonzalez busting Frisco Indians episode. And the Sarah Gonzalez, she's from the Blaze and Texas Scorecard. She's been on the James Show a few times. We're acquaintances. But the sort of Nick Shirley template that we're all familiar with, it hasn't gotten old. I could watch these all day. And we're becoming expert connoisseurs of this process because you and I know when it gets to the what's your problem soundbite, that's people start looking guilty and your suspicions your little suspicion antenna starts buzzing. And so clip 3 here is the turning point in all of these exposés.
So
you are doing all nonsense, creating nonsense, going to.
I'm creating nonsense?
Yeah.
You think it's nonsense that I'm rooting out fraud and scams?
We are paying legally taxes to the government, and who the are you come to ask all these things?
Who the are you to complain that I'm rooting out scam and fraud?
Yeah.
Yes, that's our girl. That's our girl. That's why we like her. And so, look, when it gets to that point, when you're cussing at Sarah Gonzalez, you've probably done something wrong. And I can say, I've never cussed her before. But I really like how this is being done by something that feels organic. There's no money behind this. There's no organization behind this. Like when we talk about the organization behind the caravans or the Antifa protests or how they all show up saying the same thing on the same day with the same signs in different cities. This is just regular people being tired of driving past obvious grift and they're doing something about it. You could do this too. It's fantastic. I also like it because she kind of reminds me of Candace on Phineas and Ferb. If you're not familiar with this cartoon, it's a Disney cartoon. Bowling for Soup does the theme song, by the way. Awesome. But there's these two brothers, and their older sister is always trying to bust them. And so Candace is singing this little love song about busting her brothers. But I think it applies beautifully to Sarah Gonzalez busting Frisco Indians.
I can see the things you're doing, and you think that I'm naive. But when I get the goods on you, she'll finally believe.
She says it's all just drama, but every bubble's got to pop. She's gonna see just what you're doing,
And then you're finally gonna have to stop.
Don't think you're gonna win this time, cause you better believe I'm gonna drop a dime on you. I'll get ya, I'll get ya. And when I do, you're gonna be busted. I don't wanna put the hurt on you, but you better believe me when I tell you that I finally got the dirt on you. You're busted.
Yeah, she's finally gonna see the light. This is how it's gonna be when she finds out that I was always right. You're busted.
That was our top 40 dedication from Sarah Gonzalez to Frisco Indians. Busted from Phineas and Ferb. To the phones we go. Ken in Arlington, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, Ken.
You know who needs to team up with Sarah Gonzalez is Tiffany Gomez, where she's on the plane yelling, them aren't real. She needs to say, hey, that group over there is illegal.
Yeah, so for those of you who aren't terminally online like myself and Ken in Arlington, Tiffany Gomez is the beautiful girl from, I think she's from Dallas, isn't she? And she was on the viral video on the plane. That MFer is not real.
Right.
Yeah, that one. I actually tried to get her on the show and she declined. So no, I don't know. Other than that, your call was great, Ken. Lynn in Kennedale, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, Lynn.
I want to talk.
Hello? Yeah, I don't know. What are you doing? Are you covering the microphone hole with your cheek or something? Sort of, not really. I hate it when this happens. All right, Lynn. It sounds like you're walking in the forest and your phone's like 8 feet away from you.
Can you hear me?
All right, I give up on that one. All right, coming up next on the James Show, we're going to talk about this the guy who's been on the James Show a few times, Nick's Right from the Nick's Right podcast, was talking about a report that I think I first heard this on the WBAP morning show about how home prices are actually going down in places like Frisco, Plano, and McKinney. Gee, I wonder if this has anything to do with the Frisco Indians.
Here's something that no one is talking about. As home prices come down in Frisco, Plano, McKinney, etc., a large portion of the high-end homes have been purchased by Indians, given stellar credit to purchase. Remember that one time I told you that my inside source says whenever you come over here on an H-1B visa, you have top-tier credit? As these homes fall in value and potentially become negative equity, does anyone believe that these foreign nationals will honor their mortgage commitments? That's a great question. And he says, my personal opinion is heck no. They will jump ship, leaving these homes vacant, creating a huge inventory of homes unoccupied. I say this because I'm a retired builder, and I've seen and lived through this scenario in 2006, 7, and 8. While in business, just something to think about, these foreign nationals have no scruples and no allegiance to us whatsoever. First, I want to say to this follower, thank you for your opinion, and it is valued. Not that you need it validated, because I know you're not a left-wing
Anyway,
guy.
so there we go. So that's Nick. So some people were saying that they were the ones that were driving down the home prices to begin with. Nick was saying that they may drive down the home prices even further, especially if we get rid of them and we cause a mass exodus of 1/3 of the citizenry of Frisco. Of course, that's going to have negative effect on home prices. But you know what? Maybe me and Miss Parker will go buy one of those houses because, you know, it's a terrible commute over to come here, but it's not so onerous that you absolutely have to move your family from Bug Tussle to DFW. And I don't think y'all understand like how many of us who do the long commute would really prefer to do a short commute. It's just a sacrifice we're willing to make because living out there is so different. We'll talk about that next on the James Show. Are the Frisco Indians ruining the real estate market or distorting the real estate market in Frisco, Plano, and McKinney? Is that what's really going on? I'd like to hear from you next, 800-288-9227. But I'll digest it myself coming up on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Is immigration distorting real estate in North Texas? I'm James Parker. This is The James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. I was listening to them today. 3 funny guys on from 11 to 2. Iris and Forney, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
Responding to your comment about illegals dumping their houses and helping, causing part of the housing process. I can only speak to 15 or more years ago in Colorado, this exact thing happened. And a neighborhood of starter homes, 2-bedroom, 1-bath homes, maybe 20 houses on one block. At one point, 10 of those houses were just deserted. And of the ones that did have cars there, these 2-bedroom homes had as many as 5 vehicles parked in front of their house and driveway.
Yeah, well, look, I hate this topic in some aspects because, you see the movies or the after-school specials about when integration was happening in the mid-20th century. And, they always have that over-the-top white racist guy in the movie, whether it's about swimming or basketball or whatever it is. And he's like, oh, once them types come move to the neighborhood, everything's going to go south. And everybody hates that guy and everybody thinks that's a loathful worldview. And it almost makes me throw up to know that guy was proven right so many times. Once this other element moves in, everything's going to go downhill. But look at some of the real estate that used to be with Native Americans, and I don't mean Native Americans. I mean, not immigrants. And then did these other people come in, and what happened to the property values? And how many times were those guys proven right, and how many times were those proven wrong? And it just stinks because now we're not having a conversation about immigration. We're not having a conversation about real estate. Now we're having a conversation about racism, and there's a dead end right there. So this is an issue that you and I both see. I think everyone sees it. It's just not real pretty to talk about.
Well, this is personal observation because I had friends living in those neighborhoods.
Okay, but what about now, Iris? How long have you been in Miso Forney, and what has been your observation?
10 years. 10 years.
It's changed a lot, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, it changed a lot in my neighborhood because of COVID.
Barf.
Upkeep coming down. I assume, I empathize, people losing their jobs, whatever. That's a different story. But abusing the system, abandoning houses, that's a whole different story.
Okay. Well, good chat. Thanks for sharing your experience with us, Iris and Forney. Courtney in Frisco. You're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey, Courtney.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
You sound great. Go ahead.
Perfect. I wanted to bring something up that is Indian related to the housing issue in Frisco that I just recently experienced. We were looking to move where we've been for 3 years. We've been looking to lease another home, 4-bedroom, $3,000 range. 12 houses we looked at, 10 of them smelled so strong of curry. They were empty, but the curry smell had seeped into the ventilation, the carpet, the walls, that I just couldn't stand it. And I've talked to my realtor. She says she's having problem leasing these houses. Just, food for thought, not trying to be racist or anything, but I can't live in a house that reeks of curry, especially when it's rainy and humid. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I'm a nasty person. I might be more likely to buy the house if it smells like curry because I really like curry. And I really like food. Like when people use the microwave in the break room and the whole 5th floor up here smells like someone's dinner, I think that's fantastic. I'm like, oh, someone has fried chicken, or oh, someone has, it smells like, what is that, lasagna, spaghetti? I'm getting some meat sauce in there. I'm like a connoisseur of food smells. No, I get your point though, Courtney. It has been quite unsettling. And what should really concern you, not just you, Courtney in Frisco, but other people in Frisco, one of the reasons why your housing value's dropping is because there's people like me and Miss Parker. Like when the kids are out of school, we'll probably pull up stakes and move up here. One of the things that's keeping us there is, grandparents and cousins and school. But once they're grown, we'll probably come up here. And 20 years ago, if you'd asked, well, if you could choose where you were going to live, Frisco would have been in the conversation. I don't think it's in the conversation now. I think there's a whole lot of otherwise good, decent families that would have moved to Frisco that don't because of the situations and the experiences that you've just hearing about from people right now. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. All right, coming up next on the James Show, a homeless tax for the city of Dallas. How does that sit with you? I'm going to throw up all over it next on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, homeowners, James Parker here for Blue Ribbon Roofing. There's still some clouds. We are not out of storm season. If there's any doubts, blueribbondfw.com. Having them come out there and look at your roof doesn't cost anything. And I was just texting with right before the show, John Hopkins, making sure he's taking care of a James Show listener. And he was. There was a crew on his house when I texted this morning. Some guy's like, hey, John Hopkins, for real? Can you get him out here? Yeah, we can get him out there. It really is that easy. And you have a backup. You got a friend who knows the guy who runs the place. So if you have any issues, just let me know. But it's doubtful you will. Go online. Look at some of the 5-star Google reviews. There's a ton of them. A lot of your neighbors have already trusted Blue Ribbon Roofing and been very happy with the results. So if you have any doubts about your roof, after these storms, if you're missing a shingle, you see a leak, you see anything, you see a dent, go to blueribbondfw.com. Hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. I know, good to see you too. All right, y'all, hang on. Got a lot to get to here. We've been talking about the Frisco Indians are making a couple of appearances on today's show. Number one, another investigation from Sarah Gonzalez has busted them. She goes, knocks on a door. The guy lies to her face. They cuss each other out. It's glorious. This is on top of her busting the water park Muslims from last week, and she's been on a real roll there. But we were dovetailing that into the report about how real estate's taken a hit in the area of the Frisco Indians. And, you know, some people don't like to put that in the story there, but to ignore it isn't doing anybody any favors. And so now we're seeing the effect on real estate prices from the abuse, overuse, whatever you want to call it, of the immigration system, H-1B system, shell companies, fake addresses, fake companies. It's just, there's a lot going on. It's fun to watch people who deserve it get busted. I don't want it to stop at a comedy show. I don't want this to just be something that entertains me. People need to go to jail. This needs to be stopped. It needs to be reversed, and it needs to be called out, never to be tried again. We go from that bad idea, and coming up next, we'll talk about Dallas's proposal for a new homeless tax. But first, let's go back to the phones here. Some of your neighbors are waiting patiently. David in Frisco, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
Hey, James. I live in West Frisco, and I kind of wanted to chime in on this Indian immigrant situation. I actually live next door to a house that's owned by IT company here in Frisco. I'm not sure how legit this company is, but there's 12 adult males living in that house. And, man, I tell you what, these guys do not want to assimilate one bit.
Why would they?
Well, you got me there, but I mean, we're talking about, my neighborhood's not one of the rich Frisco neighborhoods, but it's a newer neighborhood. It's nice and clean and whatnot. And they park junk cars all over the, on the side of the street. They have no notion of personal space. I find them talking on the phone in my front yard. So I'm an immigrant as well, but I've been here 25 years, and I think I've done a little bit better at adjusting than some of these guys.
Yeah, you barely have an accent. Where are you from?
I was born in Romania.
Oh, cool. You're the
Yes,
second
sir.
Romanian I've ever met.
All right. Well, that's awesome.
You ever watch Comrade Detective?
No, sir.
Are you aware it exists?
To be honest, this is the first time I'm hearing about
Okay,
that.
so I'm going to tell you a secret because you're a Romanian. This is a show with Channing Tatum, and I forgot who he's doing it with. It's somebody really funny, like Ryan Reynolds, but not him. But the show is supposed to be like this found footage series of a buddy cop show from Romania in 1983. And so it's all overdubbed with Channing Tatum and whoever else's voice, but the actors are Romanian. They're in Romania. They're doing all kinds of stuff. And you think you're watching a buddy cop movie, but every once in a while, since it was communist in the 80s, they throw in communist propaganda. They make fun of America, and like Americans are always fat and eating cheeseburgers and stuff. It's hilarious.
I'm sad like that right now. Eating burgers and steak and doing whatever I want to do with my life. Yeah, I'm very sad about that.
Yeah, it's terrible. No, go check out Comrade Detective. It is that me and Miss Parker both love it. It's funny.
Hi, Miss Parker.
Robert in Mesquite, you're next up on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
Hey, I'm in Dallas now, but I don't know how much. I started hearing you a little late, but I have a friend of mine and it's not just Frisco. I mean, it's Plano and Allen as well.
Oh, sure. McKinney, Coppell, Colleyville. We hear about it.
Yeah, he moved out of Allen about 10 years ago because all his neighbors they weren't, regular generational Americans. So, and it just got to be just a little different. So he moved back to Dallas, and just to throw my 2 cents in there.
Well, see, we have a couple of issues like this that are overlapping here, because this sounds like a similar discussion we have about the Sharia cities. Like, if you want to come here and not assimilate, why are you coming here? And you're not immigrating here if you're not assimilating. You're colonizing. If you are coming to recreate a little area that is more like your home country than the country you're moving to, that's a colony, and we're being colonized. And we're not griping about. And thank you very much. Your car's just kind of loud. We're not griping about it because they're darker than us or because they're different than us. Colonization, I was told, was bad. I was told what Europeans came over here and stole this land from the Native Americans. Yes, they came here through unfettered immigration. They didn't assimilate to the language, the religion, the customs, the mores, the dress, the food. And we just recreated our own little society that we had in Europe over here. I was told that was bad. Oh, it's only bad if we do it. It's not bad if it's done to us. Well, now it just sounds like you hate Western civilization. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, this terrible idea of a $5 tax for homeless people. And this is so annoying because we already pay taxes for you to handle homeless people. We already pay for the facilities to take care of homeless people. We already pay for the police to pick them up. We already pay for the jails and the mental facilities to put them in. We already have sent people to write the laws to outlaw it. Really, all you have to do, and this shouldn't be controversial at all you have to do is enforce the laws the way they're written. And it's just doubly frustrating in Dallas because we have Fort Worth, which is 30 miles that way. And I'm pointing west over here from the American Airlines Center. It's 40 miles that way. And they don't have the problem. Why? Because they enforce their laws. Is it that simple? It really is that simple. So when they come to you and they tell you, well, we just need to raise a little bit more money. We just need a little bit more out of you. And then we'll take care of that homeless problem. That's not just a no. That's a hell no. That's a how dumb do you think I am level of no. So let me continue stomping all over this next terrible idea of city governance on a homeless fee coming up on The James Show. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker, on your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. So don't worry too much about it because it is just in the proposal phase. But the idea that we need to have a homeless tax, it's almost sort of the Hitlerized or hypnotized Hitlerian theory that came from Scott Adams right before he passed. And the shocking part isn't that they think this. They think that they could say this in public and not get laughed out of the room. But right now, the report here, I saw this on DallasExpress.com yesterday. Dallas County officials are set to consider a proposed homeless tax measure that supporters say would create a steady source of funding for housing and outreach services across the region. Now, they have the coalition. It's called the Housing Forward and the All Neighbors Coalition. So you have two groups who are nonprofits, I suppose, who are what? Going to be on the receiving end of this money? All right, isn't that already suspicious? Hey, we should have a new $5 tax for homeless. Who says so? The people that are going to get the money. Screw you. That should be your first response. The people who are floating the idea are the people who are going to get the money. Be very suspicious. What they don't tell you, though, the housing response tax proposal from the Housing Forward and All Neighbors Coalition, it gets glowing reviews in the local NPR write-up over here. Like if you click out of the DallasExpress.com, you can see just how crazy the other side of the aisle is when it comes to this stuff. Because they talk about what they could do. You could actually take care of people and help thousands of people exit homelessness. You could avoid full shelters. You could avoid people spilling out on the street. You should have sustainable funding. But you know what they don't tell you about? They don't tell you about, well, hey, we tried this in Los Angeles and it worked. Or, hey, we tried this in Portland and it worked. We tried this in San Antonio and it worked. What was the San Antonio one? They had a big homeless initiative a few years ago and homelessness exploded. In fact, in the mayor's race in Los Angeles right now, one of the top stories, one of the top issues that they're dealing with is homelessness. And Spencer Pratt, make fun of him for being a reality star in the hills, whatever. That was 20 years ago, and he's a grown-up now. And he says, as he can solve the homeless problem in Los Angeles in the first 3 weeks as mayor, and he doesn't even have to pass a law. He just has to enforce the ones that already exist.
First 3 weeks, signs up across the city. No more nakedness. No more drug use. No more robbing. No more
burning dogs in the street.
No more dog abuse. Yeah. On every sign, on every bar. So that, and we're going to go around. We're going to warn everybody. Hey, got 3 more weeks of this. Like, clock's ticking. Just keep telling everyone. So the people that are aware, they're like, oh, wow, there's a new mayor in town. They may start leaving. And then when the 3 weeks, or maybe we'll even do 2 weeks, maybe people will want it faster. And then once we start enforcing the laws, boom, streets will be back. You know who else I'm going to bring in? The CDC, because there's medieval diseases in these encampments. They're not swabbing these encampments. They're not swabbing the streets. People are just living in feces and drug use and dogs burning and body. We need these streets cleaned.
Yeah.
And that's all we need to do in Dallas. We don't have to pass new laws. We don't have to come up with some new social program or some new funding mechanism or more social workers or non-governmental organizations or nonprofits. Just enforce the damn law. And for saying that, Spencer Pratt gets called what? He's a fascist.
But I also think it's a very real thing that we should take seriously and we need to grapple with, and we need to offer it an honest response, a response that's rooted in actually solving these problems. Otherwise, people will turn to fascism, to mini Trump, which is who I think Spencer Pratt really represents.
Yeah, that's one of the ladies running against him, Nithya Raman. I think she invented ramen noodles. Wasn't that her thing? No, someone else? Thought so. But Spencer Pratt put out he's got some good ads here. One of them was Karen Bass, the current mayor. She ran on all her homeless programs. Gavin Newsom ran back in 2012 or whenever he first got elected on how he was going to get rid of homelessness. They've spent over $20 billion on homelessness in California, and it's grown. It's doubled in Los Angeles in the last whatever years. Here's Karen Bass.
In this election, let's stand for what we believe in. A city where we will finally solve homelessness. A city where we are feeling safe, but actually are safe. And a city that doesn't price us out, but actually counts us in.
Yeah, people wonder why I stay in Buck Tussle so much. Man, you come down here in downtown Dallas, you got to be dodging crazy, mentally ill, homeless people. You go up north to Frisco, and all of a sudden you're not in America anymore. It's kind of hard to find a nice, decent place that doesn't have some sort of mutant issue with it. Here in the Metroplex, where's the most normal place left? I mean, you don't really have to answer that, sort of a rhetorical question. Coming up next, Rand Paul has proposed a constitutional amendment to end birthright citizenship. Oh my God, I hope it happens. We'll talk about it next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, James Parker here for QC Kinetics. I want to talk to you if you're in pain right now, and I don't know where it is, but if it's your knee, if it's your ankle, if it's your back, if it's your shoulder, if you got tennis elbow, it sure would be nice to get these messages where, Parker, I was living with pain. I called QC Kinetics. They actually fixed it, and I want to thank you. I can't wait to start getting those messages. In fact, I'm supposed to call them when I get done with the show today because I want to get my second treatment. The first one wasn't bad. And listen, I am the biggest baby when it comes to needles. I have a weird mental block, a phobia about needles. And even I went through it, and I was just fine. It doesn't hurt. There's no downtime. They don't cut you open. You don't see, blood squirting across the room like a Freddy Krueger movie. No, it's actually in an office setting. You don't have to get in a gown. It just takes, I was there for less than a half hour. And there's no downtime. There's no stitches. There's no drugs. They just work on you and then pat you on the butt, and you go on about your life like nothing happened. So it starts with you making the phone call. The consultation doesn't cost you anything. So there's going to be nothing out of pocket. There's nothing expected of you if you make the phone call. It's just going to start the conversation, find out if they can help you, and then we'll talk about what they can do, which one you want to do, how much does it cost, how are we going to pay for it. But it starts with you making the call. 972-972-8610. 972-972-8610.
Court could decide as soon as next month whether President Trump can restrict birthright citizenship. But my next guest isn't taking any chances. He's ready with a plan to end birthright citizenship through a constitutional amendment. He is Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, and he joins me now. Senator, thanks for being with us here today. 2/3 of the House, 2/3 of the Senate, 3/4 of the states is another path to ratify an amendment. You need 38 ultimately to ratify it. That's a big lift, but this is the beginning of the process. Senator Rand Paul, thanks so much for being here, and he joins me now. Senator, thanks for being with us here today.
But either way, for my period in the Senate, I've been for statutory change the law, but I've also been for constitutional change. And I think we're leaning towards the best answer, or maybe the only possible answer after the Supreme Court rules, is we're going to have to amend the Constitution.
All right. Thanks for being with us here today.
Ending birthright citizenship really sounds like a no-brainer. Will it happen? I'm James Parker, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. There's a couple of chances for it to happen. We should be hearing next month from the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is ruling on a birthright citizenship case here, and of course it'll probably be challenged. And if we just leave it at that, some other court case will show up later, and it could be challenged and overthrown, or some activist judge could throw it. You know, it's not as foolproof as putting it in the Constitution. A constitutional amendment, adding it to the Constitution, is about as solid in stone as you can put any policy. And since this whole problem came from a constitutional amendment to begin with, 14th Amendment, I think maybe it will take a constitutional amendment to finally put this thing to bed. However, getting the constitutional amendment put through is even harder than getting the SAVE Act put through, and 85% of us want that to go through. So could this even happen? I'm going to play you about a minute and a half of Rand Paul on with Fox News talking to Will Cain.
Two-thirds of the House, two-thirds of the Senate, three-quarters of the states is another path to ratify an amendment. And we're barely going to get bills passed, Senator.
Yeah, I think going through the states is our best chance. You know, there's about 35 Republican states where this is pretty popular. And I do think, as it's explained to people, and people understand that people are breaking the law and their kids get to vote, I think most people, if they hear that, are like surprised, but also upset that this is happening. We also have so many people abusing our system. I mean, look at the entire Somali population of Minnesota stealing $9 billion. So I think people are upset about this more than they have been in a long time. And I think the 14th Amendment was intended really to make sure slaves, newly freed slaves, were voting, all for that, all for legal immigrants who come here and U.S. citizens to vote. Right. But if you break the law, I don't think you should be rewarded with voting.
But does that mean, even though that's your interpretation, mine as well, that the 14th Amendment had its original intentions, you don't expect the Supreme Court to actually see it the same way?
Most people who watch the oral arguments are saying the court's probably going to rule the other way. That's been the opinion of most legal scholars over time, but we've never had a definitive ruling. I think we probably will get a definitive ruling, and I don't think it's going our way. But either way, for my period in the Senate, I've been for statutory change the law, but I've also been for constitutional change. And I think we're leaning towards the best answer, or maybe the only possible answer after the Supreme Court rules, is we're going to have to amend the Constitution.
All right, a couple of things. First off, totally makes sense. Why didn't we do this last year? Why didn't we do this the year before that? Why haven't we done this already? This seems like a huge no-brainer. And so then we kind of need to zoom out, because this sounds like the conversation we are having about the SAVE Act. Remember how I just brought that up? How is it that quite obvious good policies are ignored? It's not like the Congress can't get anything passed. Oh, they can pass $7 trillion worth of spending, almost $8 trillion worth of spending. Oh, they can agree to fund this war and the next war and the Iran war and the Ukraine war and the Israel war. They can agree on growing. They can agree on meddling in healthcare and in education and in transportation and in all these industries. Oh, they can agree on a lot of stuff. They can agree on all the stuff that helps them. But on the things you want, if this can't get passed, democracy is broken. You know, people talk about a threat to democracy. Republicans are a threat to democracy. Trump's a threat to democracy. SAVE Act is a threat to democracy. I think once you have a system where 85% of the country want a certain law passed and it doesn't pass, I think that's a bigger sign of something being a threat to democracy other than wearing a red hat. This is a no-brainer. Like, this should have been done yesterday. This and the SAVE Act are two glaring examples right now of the uniparty problem we have going on. This is why I'm not too enthusiastic about Republicans. I know a lot of you think that I'm great when I'm trashing Democrats because you don't like them either, but I'm no big fan of the Republican Party. They're going along with all this garbage too. Which party wants to balance the budget? Neither. Which party really wants to stay out of forever wars on the other side of the planet? Neither. Which party really wants to get out of education? Neither. Which party really wants to get out of healthcare and charity? Which party really... If you never get to vote for a free market capitalist, do you really even have a choice? So not only do I support this is a huge, just no-brainer. How about a balanced budget amendment right after that? The crazy part is this isn't already in the Constitution. The crazy part is this might not pass, even with Republicans. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Now, I don't expect everyone to agree, but I expect most people to agree with that. Such basic common sense. Coming up next, I'm going to respond to this news story from WFAA. They did a nice little report on people complaining about the price of the World Cup or how they paid a whole bunch of money and the seats aren't that great. And this is another economic issue here where if you don't like the price, don't buy the ticket. You know, people gripe about how expensive Taylor Swift tickets are or how much Ticketmaster's charging. Well, if it's too expensive, don't go. Anyway, I'll respond to this. Hang on.
Tomorrow marks 1 month until the World Cup arrives here in North Texas. And right now, even super fans say the prices are keeping them out of all the hype. We heard from one fan who paid as part of a FIFA lottery, spending $350 a pop for Tier 2 seats, billed as second best set in the house. But the tickets he got are in Section 408. Many tickets here are now going for well over $1,000. One fan told us they sold an investment property, a literal house, to pay to get to the game.
Really, essentially, watch it on the big screen at Jerry World tickets. I feel like we got scammed. It's disheartening. Soccer is about the fans.
Now, lawmakers are looking into it. Some demand FIFA's president account for, quote, dynamic pricing ripoffs and misleading seat maps. In a statement, FIFA reminds us it offered some early match tickets for $60, quote, a very competitive price point for a major global sporting event in the U.S., but that's if you could get those tickets.
If it's too expensive, don't go. Coming up next on The James Show, you will hear how hard I roll my eyes at this economic idiocy. Coming up on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. You know, I don't see any controversy over the high price of tickets to the World Cup. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. I think some people just enjoy griping, and I think some people are just rooted in the narrative that capitalism's evil and corporations are always gouging poor innocent consumers and they need to be stopped by the government or Big Brother. And it's the economic idiocy that I'm used to. It doesn't really bother me that much anymore. But when it's this bad, I have to say something. You mean to tell me you have the one biggest sporting event on planet Earth? It only happens once every 4 years, and only a few teams get to participate in it. And yet people are charging incredibly high prices to attend? Well, of course. Duh. It's like it's not only am I not shocked by it, it's the biggest duh in the world. Super Bowl tickets are so expensive. It's the Super Bowl. Everybody wants to go. Only 60,000 people get a butt in a seat, or however big the stadium is. So it's classic supply and demand. It's the same people that gripe about price gouging. You know, there's not really such thing as price gouging. I mean, I get what your definition of it means, but when it filters through my big pumpkin head, it sounds like you're just talking about free market pricing. Oh, no, we're in an emergency and they tripled the price of gasoline. Yeah, well, the demand probably more than tripled. They're probably cutting you some slack. So if more people want to go to the game than there are seats, then the prices get bid up until it kind of equalizes out. And is anybody shocked that people are paying hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars, to go to these games? I'm not shocked. This is not my shocked face.
Tomorrow marks 1 month until the World Cup arrives here in North Texas. And right now, even super fans say the prices are keeping them out of all the hype. We heard from one fan who paid as part of a FIFA lottery, spending $350 a pop for Tier 2 seats, billed as second best set in the house. But the tickets he got are in Section 408. Many tickets here are now going for well over $1,000. One fan told us they sold an investment property, a literal house, to pay to get to the game.
Really, essentially, watch it on the big screen at Jerry World Tickets. I feel like we got scammed. It's disheartening. Soccer is about the fans.
Now, lawmakers are looking into it. Some demand FIFA's president account for, quote, dynamic pricing ripoffs and misleading seat maps. In a statement, FIFA reminds us it offered some early match tickets for $60, quote, a very competitive price point for a major global sporting event in the U.S., but that's if you could get those tickets.
You know, I find this whole attitude repulsive. Because they're doing the story in a way to elicit a reaction that doesn't happen with me, but I observe this coming from a lot of people. Like when she said the part about they sold an investment property, they sold a literal home just to fund this. You know, there's a lot of people out there saying that is stupid. These guys are idiots. Who would do that? Who would spend that kind of money just to go see a stupid game? When to me, that makes the most sense in the world. Because 40 years from now, when that father and son are talking to the grandkids, they're going to tell the story about how they came to Dallas and where the Dallas Cowboys play. They got to see their team from their country play in the World Cup, and then whatever side stories that happen with that. It's a real life experience. Just like I don't fuss anybody who pays a bajillion dollars to go see a concert. It's an experience. What are you here for? Are you here to accumulate stuff, or are you here to live a good life? People gripe about Ticketmaster fees, or people gripe Taylor Swift charged $400 to sit in the lower level. Well, then don't buy it. You're just telling the world you're poor or you're cheap. Oh yeah, I would love to have this great experience, but not if I have to pay for it. So I don't know. I used to gripe about that when I was poor. Like this used to be a big deal to me when I was still going to concerts and whatnot. And, you know, when you're 23 and I can't afford the ticket hardly. Now they're going to give me another $40 for parking. And now I got to pay $9 for a beer. And you people who gripe about expensive drinks, you're just being a cheapo. You can afford it or don't go, but don't be a cheapo and go buy it and then complain about how much money you paid for it. And if it's too expensive, don't go. Bunch of cheapos. George in Plano. You're on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP.
Hey, James, I was about to say we've already been down this. We already went through this 40 years ago. The summer of 1984, the Jackson Five were doing 5 nights at Texas Stadium on the Victory Tour, and tickets were $25 a ticket, but you could only buy them in blocks of 4, and it was a complete outrage. Almost to the point where a little girl wrote a letter to Michael Jackson about how she couldn't go to this show because it was just such an outrage. It's like we've already been down this road.
Well, it keeps happening over and over and over. They have these sorts. Can you believe how much these tickets are going for? And I see it for the Super Bowl. I see it for the World Cup. And it's okay to like point at it and be like, wow, that's really expensive. But to act like it's a problem, because at the end, they weren't just saying, wow, look at how expensive this is. They were calling for lawmakers to step in and do something about this and protect us. So you want to grow government? You think it's going to be better if you let the nerds in City Hall have some sort of say-so for it, or that mutant cabal of weirdos down in Austin, or the people who can't even pass the SAVE Act in D.C. right now? You want them in charge? It's going to be better if government gets involved. You know, I think a lot of this is based just on economic ignorance, and if we recognize free market principles, capitalism for what it is, we wouldn't have these stories. Stories like this we would roll our eyes at. And where this really like gets me is the price gouging stories. Like there was a guy in Mississippi that got arrested and charged with a crime for selling people generators after a hurricane. He had the foresight to go to Lowe's and buy like 10 generators. And then he was going out into this neighborhood that got completely wiped out. There's no electricity, and selling them. But because he sold them for too much, he got charged with a crime. It's like all he was doing was helping people. Y'all don't understand economics, and it's having negative effects. And it really makes you sound silly when you gripe about we all know how big the Super Bowl is. Like, what was it? 180 million people watched it. There's going to be 2-point-something billion people watch the World Cup final. It's more than 10 times as big as the Super Bowl. So unless the tickets are more than 10 times that of the Super Bowl, I'm not going to be surprised at all. And I don't think George in Plano is very surprised either.
No, if I recall, I think the band Pearl Jam testified in court about Ticketmaster, and they tried to go with a smaller ticketing company, and it failed, and they had to go back to Ticketmaster. I don't remember.
I remember that. Oh, that was a big lawsuit, and if you don't like Ticketmaster's fees, use someone else. And they're the only ones that can handle it. Well, then you should probably pay whatever fee that they're charging if they're the only ones that can do it. It sounds like they have an invaluable service. Sounds like you're getting quite a deal. They could charge you whatever they want if no one else could possibly do it. If it's too expensive, don't buy it. It really is that simple. And thank you for the assist on that. It's George in Plano, my economics professor and assistant. All right, that's going to about do it for the James Show. I really appreciate your time hanging out with me today. If you didn't get to hear the whole show, understandable. I know you have a life, you're doing other things. Go check out the podcast. You probably didn't hear all of yesterday's show, and it's already waiting on you. So you can go check that out. While I get out of here, I'm probably going to go get some food, and then I'll put up the podcast for tonight's show this evening. So just remember that. I was telling someone about, you do a radio show? Oh, well, I'm just in from out of town, so I guess I'm going to miss that. No, it's on your phone. Well, I don't know how to do that. There's an app called Podcast. You have an iPhone, right? It's called Podcast. Just go there and type in my name and figure it out. Do it for me. Mark Levin's coming up next. This has been The James Show. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.